Yeah, I'll be sensitive to rolling around in the shadow. I'll just eat a bite or two. Hey, how are you? Oh, hello there.
I guess.
Oh, good. You'd like for her to sit right here beside you?
What's it sort of?
Right.
You don't want to listen to our meeting. Exactly.
Fine, yeah.
Like-
Good job, over.
I did it. Took the back one.
Hmm.
I learned the lesson. Because if I take the street. All of that traffic, a lot of light.
Yeah,
Lights will hold you for a long
like
time.
Carrie and Moore stuff, or where do you?
I came from like South Stern all the way.
And that'd be a good way to get here, huh?
I really want to call. Yeah, it's not gonna be on the call tonight because I'm here.
I get it.
I was like, who's around today? Let's touch base. I just canceled it for you.
Bring the thing, like, we just completely stressed you out.
I think so, like, but but yeah, the meditation.
Minutes.
No.
Are we muted or? We're gonna get started in about 3 minutes. Just for everybody to be aware.
Do you read it?
My name's over there.
Oh, well then now? No, I don't know. Just move your name.
Look like. I'm not up on the set on the plan.
Later, there's not want to sit there.
Probably like 4:30. Be there. You need an napkin? Kelly?
Yeah. Oh,
I have a pen.
true, I really don't want to sit there. I just realized. Oh, because of the cockroach. Were you here when the cockroach fell on down?
No,
This is a true story.
really? Oh. Fell down on. Wow.
Over there somewhere. And you still sit over there.
It's funny now.
Yeah.
Because you survived.
Yeah, just keep them over there on that side of the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you always keep going to that side? We talked about this last time you were here.
I'm not sitting where I like this.
It's like you can move or you can grab your name. whatever you
I
want.
already was locked up. So I just need to deal with some of it.
Only stay the same, like, since. Nothing changed.
And then my parents come back.
Yeah, no, both. Yeah. So it stayed the same. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were like. And I like about listening. Yeah.
They were on the wall. Were those furnished by the individual?
Why didn't they take it with them?
Okay, I assume they were.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it stayed, yeah.
My parents offered me to go down to Orlando, but it's not interested.
Hadn't been.
So, he said.
Morning.
It's not different, right? So were you like, on this thread when I responded?
No, I actually didn't mind.
They have a re-licensing program for people who've proved to be careless drivers on the interstate, I think.
All right.
I'm teaching. Yeah, just to drive over here,
Happy all of them.
you're cruising along there pretty good, and all of a sudden, man, a bullet car comes past you this way and zips in this lane and that lane all the way across.
Yeah, some people drive really crazy.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah. Well, I don't have to be out there most days.
Especially this time of the day. They go really crazy.
I'm just gonna see if my daughter would let me introduce her to everyone. My daughter Adriana is joining us this evening. You want to say hello?
Hi, welcome.
She can sit down. Cookies.
Yeah, there's plenty of cookies.
Honey,
Yeah, I saw some lying out, so I got one. Then when I
No,
opened
they're nearby.
there was another.
Yeah.
So now I have two.
My apologies, everyone. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. I know we're like 6 minutes behind, but I just want to welcome everyone and say happy Women's History Month.
Yeah.
As we close out Black History Month and go into Women's History Month. I want to say, I've been saying this in other spaces. It's really about it's not that we're celebrating just this month or last month. It's really just that the more dominant culture is male, and this month is about women. And so it's kind of like a reverse, so to speak. That doesn't mean we won't celebrate women all year long. And the same thing for Black History Month. Doesn't mean we won't celebrate other cultures all year long, or Black history all year long, but it's important that we do flip it every now and then so we can see what it looks like on the other side. So I'm sure everyone enjoyed their Black History Month, and I'm gonna let Chantel open us up with a roll call. So,
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to say the jurisdiction. Please, if you are present. Aberdeen,
Will Mulaney, Aberdeen present.
Archer Lodge. Chatham County,
Earl McKee present.
thank you. City of Durham,
Adriana Freeman, present.
Durham County. Garner,
Ken Marshburn present.
Hillsborough,
Hillsborough, Kathleen Ferguson present.
thank you. Johnston County, Lee County,
Bill Carver present.
Moore County, Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh, Pamela Baldwin present.
Orange County,
I'm sorry, I must have spoke earlier for Orange County, Earl McKee present.
I have you. Thank you and welcome. Princeton,
Don Rance, present.
Sanford,
Rebecca Salmon, City of Sanford, present.
thank you. Wake County, is there anyone I may have missed?
Yeah, I didn't hear Chatham County, but Mike Dasher's here from Chatham.
Okay, I have it. Thank you.
Jean Hamilton, alternate for Orange County.
Okay, thank you and welcome. Yes, sir. Okay, and we do have a form.
Great, thank you. And just a reminder, this meeting is being live streamed on the TJ Cog website. So please make sure you identify yourself each time that you speak so that we can comply with the virtual meeting laws, which states that all votes will be conducted by roll call to comply around virtual meetings, and Chantel will assist us with that. Just presenting the agenda for review. Does anyone have any changes or additions? If there aren't, I'll
Move to approve as presented, and this is Kathleen Ferguson.
thank you. And I think we can approve with consent. So we'll move forward to our business. And we have a presentation of organizational rebrand and charter amendment. When that's am I turning it over to Alana or to?
I'll take it first and then I'll turn it over to Elena. So good evening, members of the executive committee. I do want to also add my welcome to our two new Orange County delegate and alternate delegate. We appreciate you joining us tonight on pretty short notice. I know you've just recently been appointed. We look forward to seeing you. We'll be in touch about doing an orientation and some other things. But we really appreciate you being part of the group.
Welcome.
Yeah. So I wanted to introduce this item and then I'm gonna hand the fun stuff off to Elena, and then I think I'll maybe come back and talk about the charter amendment and more of the technical sort of details. But just really quickly, we're really excited about this, and Elena will get into the history a little bit. But this has been something we've been discussing for a number of years, that as we evolve as an organization and we grow, both in terms of number of employees and the types of support and services we give to our local government members, and the possibility of our geographic footprint maybe growing in the future, that it was time to look at the brand and to make sure that our brand reflected the innovation, the forward-looking, and really encapsulated our vision of being the premier regional organization for our 47 local government members. Coupled with that, I think we've all recognized and have had conversations that at times our brand gets lost, not because folks don't value us, but there are in this region a number of great organizations that provide different types of services. And we wanted to make sure that we distinguished ourselves and really were recognizable. The timing is perfect on this as well. We'll talk about the new space here in a second. But what a great time to rebrand as we redo our space. We've been long overdue to brighten the space up and to really make it more conducive for the type of employees and the market that we're competing in for individuals and talent level. And then, of course, as many of you know, the conversation about our brand shouldn't be around the letter. It should be around the services that we provide, and many times that our brand conversations really focus in on that J. And that really doesn't mean anything for our organization. It's just that state designated letter that we've talked about. So with that, I'm going to just want to provide some context. Elena will go a little bit more into detail. And as a reminder, this rebrand was something that the board authorized with the adoption of the budget and allocation of funding for the rebrand. So we're excited to unveil it tonight and to talk about how we move forward. So Elena, I'll turn it over to you.
I'll start by saying that the slide deck is the first slide deck. Oh, hopefully everyone can hear me. Let us know in the chat if you can. This is the first time we're using the slide deck of our rebranded, potentially branded material. Sorry, I'm just letting.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me. So let me know if you can. So I will just talk a little bit about the process, and then we're going to share a video from our branding consultant. So we did partner with an outside agency to help us with this process. So as a reminder, in May, during the budget season, you all as a board approved funding in our budget for the 2022-2023 year to do this rebranding effort. So we specifically designated funding for this effort. Over the summer, this past summer, we did an RFP process for branding consultants with the expectation that they would deliver 3 things for us. That's a new name and logo, which you'll see in a moment, a detailed brand guide, which will help our staff do a better job of being consistent and cohesive with how they talk about our organization, and a rebranding strategy that we could implement with all of this information. We partnered with Carborough Creative, which is one of the agencies that responded to the RFP to do this process. They were fabulous partners in this work for us. And we were, and in honor of Women's Month, they're an all-women firm, which is by chance. So it was really great to work with them on this effort. And so they did a complete brand audit of our organization, all of our materials, and used that as well as materials from our strategic planning process. So we've been going through a strategic planning process, which included a lot of feedback from both internal and external stakeholders, and they used that as well to shape what they recommended. And then in November and December, they formally presented to the board officers their recommendations as well as to staff. Is there something I'm missing, Lee? Okay. So with that, I think the next slide is going to be, so this video, they could not be here with us. And so they provided a video to talk through the brand. And so we're going to pretend that they're here with us, but they're going to talk through the name, the brand, and the why, because there's a really important why behind the rebrand and its meaning. So with that, you should be able to click.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Kelly. I am the Creative Director at Carborough Creative. Today, we're going to walk through the strategy behind the name and the rebrand, and get everybody on the same page of what this means for your organization, how we landed here, and kind of where you're going with that. So I'm Mallory. I am the brand strategist at Carborough Creative, and we'll kind of just jump right into things. So the name that we landed on is Central Pines Regional Council. And we really wanted to kind of pull in kind of a nod to North Carolina. So we were kind of looking at different things that represent North Carolina. And we landed on pine trees. They are the state tree. And the more we kind of dug into pine trees and why they're the state tree, it just really perfectly came together and symbolized exactly what you do at your organization. A big reason that they are the state tree is because of the rich history here. They were used primarily for the tar production, hence Tar Heel Estate. And now we use it a lot for construction. So it's bridging that past and that present and into the future with something we really wanted to focus on because of the work that you do. They are also found a lot here because they are really easily adaptable to different soil conditions. So they can grow in kind of the more traditional dirt, the clay dirt that we have, and even some of the more sandy dirt that we have. And again, you guys are, you know, really adapting your services to help your members, no matter what kind of stage they are at, and what they kind of need with.
Yeah, and one of the priorities with this renaming and rebranding was the idea of bridging kind of where your organization started, who you started with, starting really in this tiny little area and growing and expanding out there. Now in, you know, a wide variety of counties that are very different from each other. You've got urban, you've got rural, you've got different industries, but at the core, you're still providing these services to your member organization. So wanting to have something that kind of represents all of the different facets of the organization and all the counties that you work in, and tying that together, also showing that balance between like urban and rural, pulling these two seemingly different areas, finding similarities in that foundation, to kind of bridge everything together. So that's another way that really ties into that. And once I get to the logo part, I'll also dive more into how that's reflected visually. But I did just want to jump in and mention that.
So to get kind of into a little bit more of the strategy piece, another kind of piece that we wanted to really pull in was making sure that the brand messaging was really clear and concise. So it's a lot easier to explain what you do as a organization. So we came up with a resource and support hub for local governments, community members, and partners in Central North Carolina. We wanted to make sure it was, again, really clear, no matter if it is your government members or even community members or, you know, different partners that you have. This is a kind of a one-liner that you can use to easily describe it, and then you can kind of get into the different areas of focus that you have as well. So to get into a little bit of kind of the unique value proposition and market positioning as well. Again, who you do it for, government funders, partner agencies. So we wanted to make sure, again, that the name was easy to remember, kind of described the region and the central part. So we wanted to kind of like pull all of that together. So no matter who you're talking to, it makes sense. Again, it's easy to remember and kind of digest and understand. So some of the brand attributes that we want to make sure that we are tying throughout your brand identity, the visual piece, as well as kind of your key messaging and communications piece, is we want to make sure that we come across as collaborative, innovative, dedicated, and agile. Essentially, we want to be really accessible, but also position ourselves as a thought leader, kind of across the areas of focus. So again, we don't want it to seem like we are kind of the end all be all, but we can guide you in the right direction. We have the resources to provide that to you. Again, a central hub of resources and accessible, so people are comfortable coming to you for those resources as well. So you guys have a wide breadth of support and services provided for a really diverse and unique region. Again, pulling in that adaptability of the pine tree. So kind of keeping that in mind where, you know, you can help people and different governments and anyone that needs your assistance. You can help them in a variety of ways and adapt to that as well and be really agile in your approach. Kind of what I just said, but being really agile, meeting local governments at the stage they're in to provide the support and assistance they need. So that's kind of the central thing we want to carry through all of our communications and X-word key messaging.
Okay, and now for the visual direction logo moving forward. So one of the reasons that we chose the pine tree was the really strong imagery. So one of the key things that we kept hearing was
we don't want to leave the triangle completely behind. People have known you as Triangle JCOG for so long. So wanting to use the visual identity to nod to the triangle without being exclusionary toward the counties that are not part of the North Carolina Triangle. So you'll see that in the core design elements. We have this pine cone, geometric abstract pine cone, utilizing those different triangles. And it also has kind of this difference, right? A balance between the old and the new, rural and urban, something that's reflected on both sides, kind of show who you are, where you're going, and some of the sides that we work with. Because we don't want the rural or urban areas to feel left behind with this branding. It's really about being inclusive of everybody. So this gave us a really wonderful opportunity to show that visually. Another way that we do that is with different design elements. So this triangle is used throughout the design element. Whether that's like this cool little triangle element over here, how you're showing photos, and included, we'll send over your brand book, which has a lot more information on the depth of that. We also did an acronym, an acronym logo that you see right here, CTRC. This will be used generally at like a bigger size, not on the small document or a correspondence, but this is something that is really a fun way to represent your brand, whether that's on signs or murals or other larger mediums. And as far as like the color palette and overall vibe, we really wanted to capture this like innovative feel. You are a resource hub of information, right? And innovation. So having almost a like startup vibe, which also works really well with being in the research triangle area. And so you'll see that reflected throughout the different branding elements, which have been, I'm the creative designer part, so I'm very, very biased. But it's been a really, really wonderful and really fun experience to see how this all ties together. Valerie and I have talked about this so many different times, but it's really rare to start a project with a really clear direction that ties together all of the core foundational strategy communication pieces and visuals so seamlessly. And this was just one of those projects where like it immediately clicked and we're like, yes, this checks all of the boxes. It's something that's fun and something that you guys can be proud of, something that you want to use, colors that are really versatile and give you options to choose from. So again, in that comprehensive brand book, there will be a lot more details on how to use this new brand. We also have a communication strategy document that we've provided that will also kind of walk through how to use the messaging more precisely in a little bit more depth. Those are the general high level the changes. We're sorry that we can't be there for that meeting. This covers some of the bases, and Elena, she's been in all of these different meetings with us, so I'm sure she is more than capable of answering any questions that you have. And if there are additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. My email is listed in the presentation.
Awesome. So so I'm going to give a few different other comments, but I wanted to make sure that we have up on this slide a couple of elements about that were provided by Carrboro Creative related to design, because I think the design is a really important piece of what they've presented for us. And it's really important because I know our staff currently, and I'm sure you've experienced this as board members, struggle sometimes to showcase the great work that Triangle J is doing with the current brand that we have. And so we're really excited to have something that is bright and fun and seems innovative and matches the stuff that our staff have been producing. The other things that I just wanted to mention, I know some of that video might have felt a little repetitive, but hopefully as board members, this will be also a resource for you, right? So this new brand is meant to make it easier for you to communicate about our organization. I know we've heard from staff that they sometimes have a hard time providing in one sentence an explanation of what Triangle J does. And we now have that. And we also have an additional sort of booklet that gives you resources of how to talk about the organization. And we hope that's a resource for board members as well. The other thing I just wanted to mention, I think Lee said this as well. there was a lot of discussion about Triangle, and we're excited to have a name that makes us stand out in this region. There's a lot of organizations that have a name related to Triangle. And this gives us a name that makes us unique and remembered. And so we're hopeful that will be successful as we move forward. If you could go to the next slide. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but what I wanted to point out specifically, we have a long timeline for, if anyone has ever gone through a rebrand, there's lots of different steps. The things that are of note for you as board members is really the line that says charter adoption. So one of the things that our organization has to do to make a rebrand official and a name change official is to amend our charter. And so that is something that's going to be coming before you tonight, and Lee may have some additional comments he wants to make on the charter amendment. And that's the step that we're at in this process right now. So we're not moving forward on anything until we've officially approved that charter, because that is really what determines our name. And then we will have many other more exciting and less logistical steps in the rebrand process besides the charter. And I think the next slide just indicates that that's really the item that's coming before you, but we want to make sure there's space as well for any questions or comments about the rebrand. So if anyone has anything that they want to ask, we can go back a couple of slides just to the one that has all the design elements. Thanks, Chantal.
Just as commentary, I've been a member of Triangle J for 20 years, somewhere along that time frame. And J never made sense. But if you take it in historic perspective, there's 16 COGs throughout the state, and J happened to fall into our region. So none of the other regions, they all have a name that identifies that area of the state. So Land of the Sky is the Boone area. Eastern Carolina COG is the area from Wayne County to the coast. Albemarle Commission is the northeastern part of the state. Cape Fear is down in the Wilmington area. So I endorse that. The concept of the pine, as the officers, when they met back in December, there are various communities in, I know, Johnston, in Lee, in Moore County, that various communities have pine in their name. Pine Level, Pinehurst. They're more than that.
Several.
But what I'm getting at is I think they've done a good job, and I wholeheartedly endorse the name change. I think one comment came up, Pine State, but I think this is very important.
Kathleen, I see your.
Yeah, Kathleen's answering. Certainly echoing everything that Don has said, I do have a question. Did we get the colors checked out by those who are colorblind? Red, green, blue, green, color blinding.
Yes, and so, oh, please.
Sorry,
I spoke over you. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's my only question. And the second piece was on the spirals. Because I know that those who have epilepsy, spirals can be a trigger. And if we got that checked out also. But in across the board, love this. I think it's inclusive, it's fresh, gives us a great opportunity to get out in front of folks, clear messaging, and heartily endorse.
Yeah, those are great questions. So on the colorblind, so we have a complete guidebook from our branding consultants that sort of outlines ways to be compliant with that. So I won't go and bore everyone with the details, but it's related to when you can use which logos on which sorts of colors and what colors have to be used for text. So, we're not going to be using the green and the orange for text. So there's a number of elements that they've put into the guidebook for that purpose. So we will definitely be mindful of that. We're very mindful of that because of the AIR Agency on Aging team who are constantly reminding us of what is age friendly for all ages, not to the exact phrase. So that piece, yes. The CPRC logo is only going to be used, the spirally one, for really, really large sizes. Oh, it's not meant to replace our logo. So this won't be something that's in place of the Central Pines logo in all locations. So it'll really be mostly used in these really large contexts, for the most part.
Okay, but it's something I encourage us to check out because like I said, for those who are seizure prone, that's those spirals and circles are, it's a known trigger.
Okay, we'll make sure to follow up on that.
I would just note that, it has a nice sound to it, or at least the word pine. So that's on my mind some because, as many of you know, one of the most prestigious awards given in this state is something called the Order of the Longleaf Pine.
Yes.
And I had the privilege last evening of participating and presenting this to one of our local citizens who was a former NNO news reporter. Some of you know him, Tim Stevens, but and so having pines or pine in the name reminds me of other things in North Carolina that are good and positive and very wholesome.
Yeah, and I think that was really what the re-rating consultant wanted it to be, a nod to both North Carolina as it has been, and North Carolina, our region is changing, right? So it's sort of a way to capture both the old and new of our region.
I can't help but love the central part. Can't imagine what
Yeah.
on the end, but
Yeah.
the central part really speaks to me. And I really love the way that it's all come together and it's definitely worth I'm glad we have the video. It's kind of like worked out because we can share that bit of information with anyone that asked a question online. So helpful.
So some of the more boring stuff on the,
I'll let Lee cover that.
told you Elena's the creative, innovative one. I'm the one in the charter amendments and the details. So, and obviously if folks have other questions about the design, I just wanted to quickly go over the charter amendments, and I would say 95% of what you see in the proposed charter amendments are all about the name change. I do want to point out a couple of other substantive changes that we've recommended, that we're recommending to be in the charter, and just because this is not done very often. I think the last time we did a charter amendment was back in 2018. The charter is what is mentioned in the North Carolina general statutes that actually creates the COG, just like a municipal charter. Each local government that is a member or who desires to become a member of Triangle J has to adopt the charter, and their governing board adopts that charter. By doing that, they join the organization and they agree to and authorize us as an organization, one, to exist and to do certain things. And basically, you become a 147th shareholder in this organization by adopting the charter. So, so that is the sort of involved, laborious part, is that we will have to take this charter amendment to each of our 47 local governments. And we'll talk more about this at the Board of Delegates, but we'll certainly be asking for our Triangle J board members to assist us if this were to be approved to getting before your boards to present. And this is something that we do think is important enough that we want to be in person. So I think we've decided either myself, Jenny, or Elena will split up the region and come and talk to you about this, and probably a couple other things just as an update. In the charter, the other two sort of substantive changes, if you look at page 2 in the charter, we wanted to make sure under item 2 that we specifically called out emergency management and community economic development as items that we could sort of focus and work on, because those are areas we just naturally work on, and we're seeing lots of opportunities. So we've added those. The only other another substantive thing, we wanted to make sure the charter had never been amended to include our friends in Moore County. So when this organization was first created, it was 6 counties. Moore County was added in 2001, but the charter was never amended to recognize that Moore County was part of Triangle J. So we wanted to, under Article 4, which is on page 3, make sure that we express that Moore County is part of this organization. So that's been added. And then the only other substantive change that I would bring to your attention, I don't know if I'll find it. I'm not going to find it, but I'll just say it. The charter, somewhere in the charter, it mentions that the budget is due to the local government members. The chair found it. Thank you, Madam Chair. Page 7 at the very top. That the budget is due to our member governments no later than April the 15th. That is extremely difficult to do. And we sometimes are scrambling on the last day. We many times don't even get our health insurance numbers until right around April 1st, 2nd, 3rd. That's a big part of the budget. So a lot of our aging revenues and expenditures are pretty unknown at that point in time. So we're recommending a change that we at least let the local governments know by April 15th what the member dues are going to be, because I think that's why that date's there. So you can be doing your budget with member dues, and that the budget is due to the members by May the 15th. I think that's a reasonable change in the charter in terms of budgeting. So, and we have this scheduled to be on the consent agenda. I know this is a pretty major item. If you all wanted to vote on this separately, we would certainly understand, but we wanted to calendar it and agenda it in a way that was most efficient for you, but happy to answer any other questions, Madam Chair. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Elena, Beth on our team, and everybody else that's done a lot of work in sort of thinking about this and moving forward. The last thing I'll say is we've been asked a few times whether this is a complete legal name change or if we'd be doing like a DBA, doing business as. After talking to our attorney, we're going to be doing a complete legal name change. It's just easier. There've been some COGs that have done DBAs, and it just creates other administrative issues. So, Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't see any questions in the room. I'm online if there aren't any questions. I think we can move on to the update on the Triangle J Space and Tour.
Okay.
Lee, it's you.
Thank you. So the other really exciting thing, and we'll wait and do the tour so that our folks on Zoom, they don't have to wait for us to do the tour and then we come back. We'll do the tour at the end if that's okay, Madam Chair. That way the folks on Zoom can drop off. So real quickly, the lease on the space here at 4307 Emperor Boulevard expires at the end of July. I've given you a lot of updates on sort of where we've gone and where we've been. I think at the last executive committee meeting, it was the last executive committee meeting, the committee gave me permission to negotiate a lease for a 20,000 square foot space at the Research Triangle Park. And then as a backup to continue conversations with Tribe Properties, which is the landlord for this building. We've been in this space for about 20 years now. The negotiations at RTP did not go through. We were not able to come to an agreement. And that is not due at all to the Research Triangle Park Foundation. or to the broker. They did everything they could to try to make the deal work. It was simply the company that was in that space decided to stay. And nothing we could propose to them would get them to move. So we came back and said, Tri Properties, will you have us back? And they were very excited to have us back. And so we are sitting right now in about 9,500 square feet. When we go on the tour, we'll show you what the new footprint will be, which will be close to 20,000 square feet. So the same amount of square footage. It will include the combination of the two suites that are sitting in here and the one next to us. And then I think it's really exciting for those that y'all that have been in the building, the suite immediately on the right as you come in, that will become our new large meeting room and a boardroom. And so we'll actually be able to sort of off the office area, actually have a self-contained meeting space for folks. So if you're having a large meeting, you won't have to come into the office space. We believe we'll be able to sit at least 100 people at round tables in that space. So it'll be very sizable for the organization as we continue to grow. So just real quickly on the next steps, we're planning to be sort of out of this space around the 1st of April. We'll move up to the front where that other suite is right now. They'll start demolition and construction here. They've pretty much finished next door and they'll join the spaces. And then they're saying July-ish, maybe summer, that they'd be done with this part. We'd move back in and then they'd start work on the front part. I would think it's going to be the holidays before that would be done. So hopefully by 2024, we'll be completely finished in our new space. And for those in attendance, we'll take you on a quick walk around. But we're excited about it, beginning to pack. I think the ombudsman were here all day today, starting to pack up their stuff. So we're ready to get going. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Just wanted to give an update.
That's phenomenal. I mean, we're getting to it.
That's right.
And there's been a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of time.
Yes, ma'am.
But
Lee, what is the negotiated split?
It was it's 2650 a square foot. So it was the same as what we were going to do at RTP. And it's just 1% or 2% above what we're paying now. So it was a very reasonable increase. And that I got to, since we have some new members, we're also getting a very good upfit allowance, $60 a square foot upfit allowance. And they're also going to be building an outdoor pavilion for us on the corner of the building. That was something that staff had requested. All of those things were included in the negotiation. And also we're bringing on and I'll talk about this later in my report, but for those that don't know, the Durham Chapel Hill Carborough MPO is actually becoming part of Triangle J on July 1st. So we'll be close to 60 employees at that point. So that plus all the meetings that we host, we need more space because of all of that. Thanks for the question, sir.
Thank you.
yeah,
Remind me the length of the lease. It was a lease and then it can be extended. I don't know if it's annual.
Yeah, it's a 10-year
10 years.
term. Yes, sir. Which is the same as what we have right now.
and you might as well add the sweet deal you did on keeping that lease rate the same, or at least the percentage increase that would go up.
Well, we were, I think we were lucky. The timing was really good. I would say that the landlord really did not want us to leave. And so they presented a really nice deal because of that. So if we had left, almost the entire first floor would have been vacant by July.
Yeah.
So we use that to our advantage.
Yes, thank you. And I tip my hat to Lee on that and to Jenny as well. Just knowing of that negotiation, a lot of little details that we aren't talking about right now. And are there any other questions online and in the room? No. Okay. We're moving along. I think the next item is remove the unemployment insurance from committed fund balance. Hope Tally.
Yes, so committed fund balance, amounts listed in the financial statements, held in reserve and fund balance. Action of the board. There's currently 39,478 showing for unemployment insurance. And when I questioned why, we couldn't find the answer. We researched archived the board meeting minutes and could not actually find where the board had committed that fund balance amount. We went all the way back to 2008, and that amount has not changed since then. It's not moved up or down. So we don't believe that it really needs to be committed at this point. I don't really know a reason why it would need to be that way for unemployment insurance. So we're just requesting that the board uncommitted.
By being a government agency, we are not required to purchase unemployment, but we would pay the claim if it was worthy of being claimed. And we don't need a reserve to do that.
You've got to the state now.
And when did that implement through the state?
Okay,
I
don't know.
Now, I mean, the way I'm aware of is if there is unemployment hearing and we have to pay unemployment and we pay it on a monthly or annual basis.
Right.
Depending on what the award is, it just comes out of your budget.
It's the operating expense. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have anyone on it, so we don't. Yeah.
You can elect as a government entity to pay unemployment, that it's not it's to your choosing.
Right.
Any other questions?
And we would have this action on the consent agenda as well. So
I will state that the items on the consent agenda include the budget amendment 7 that Hope just mentioned, and the endorsement of the Triangle J Council of Government Charter Resolution. So we can clean up our name in the document and those things that Lee mentioned. Remove the unemployment insurance from committed fund balance. So we can do the budget amendment. And then approval of the access to federal home loan bank portal from Lindsay. And I'll take a motion.
So move to approve as presented.
Thank you, Kathleen in Hillsborough. Second.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Ken Marsh.
Mhm.
And Garner. And Chantel, for roll call vote.
Thank you. Aberdeen,
Will Mullaney votes aye.
Archer Lodge, Chatham County,
Mike Dasher, aye.
City of Durham,
Adriana Freeman votes aye.
Young County, Garner,
Ken Morris from Garner votes aye.
Hillsborough,
Kathleen Ferguson, Hillsborough, aye.
Johnson County, Lee County,
Bill Carver, aye.
Moore County, Orange County,
Earl McKee, Orange County, aye.
Pittsburgh,
Pamela Baldwin, Town of Pittsboro, aye.
Princeton,
Town of Princeton, Don Raines, aye.
Sanford,
Rebecca Salmon, Sanford, aye.
Wake County. Is there anyone I may have missed? you. Okay, just- Okay, and we do have a vote.
Thank you. And moving on ahead, I'm going to turn it to Lee for our executive director's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, thank you to the executive committee for the endorsement on the new brand. It's an exciting time to be part of the organization, and your support and the board's support is a big reason why I think, and I know that our employees are excited about doing this work, and there's really some cool things going on. And I'm very appreciative of what the employees are doing. With that, we're very busy, and so we're trying to manage that as best we can between an office move and a rebrand and bringing on an organization. There's a lot going on. So, but I really appreciate what staff's doing to keep the momentum moving forward. Just a couple of highlights. We just advertised today. We're helping the town of Angier with their town manager search. We're actually doing that in partnership with the Mid-Carolina Regional Council, which is the regional council that represents Harnett, Cumberland, and Sampson County. So Angier asked us to help them with their search for a new manager. We advertised that today. Beth Davis designed a beautiful brochure that rivals any recruitment company in the nation, I think, in terms of recruitment brochures. It's just really nice. So she did a super job. So really appreciate all the good work that she's put in to that. I mentioned the Durham Chapel Hill Carrboro MPO. We're very excited about them bringing 11 employees and coming to be part of Triangle J on July 1st. A lot of details to work on through that. Jenny is taking the lead on many of those, and I appreciate what she's doing with that. So we're continuing to move on with that. Also, just to let the executive committee know, I'm spending a lot of time in the town of Micro right now, which is in Johnston County. One of our members, they are dealing with some financial issues. They're under a fiscal accountability agreement right now with the local government commission. They've had 5 mayors in the last year and 2 months, I think.
Oh my God.
They have two of their 3 board members are new. They do not have a finance officer or town clerk right now. So between myself and Hope and Nancy Medlin on our staff, we've been doing a lot of financial work. And we seem to uncover something interesting every day. Nothing illegal or bad, just, a small town trying to do the best they can with very limited resources. And lots of folks have jumped in as we've had things we've had to deal with. But we're trying to rectify their budget for this year, get the budget ready for next year. We've run into some land use questions that we're going to have to address, and a lot of other things. So just to let you know, we're doing the best we can, but trying to help Micro right now with a bunch of stuff. So I think that's all I've got for this evening, Madam Chair. I'll turn it back over to you.
Sounds good. And in keeping with the way the meeting's running, I have a very brief check-in just around economic development. I felt it was important to share that my new job with the North Carolina Rural Center. We actually had a launch last night, and I want to figure out how to make sure across the region that there's some support and representation, because there's about 200 million, over 200 million that'll be deployed as capital directly through banks and CDFIs and credit unions. And then also there's an investment aspect to it that is focused on addressing the SETI population, and that's the socially, economically disadvantaged individuals. And I want to be clear in saying that that covers women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, low-wealth individuals, folks in low-income census tracts, and rural communities. So it's a very wide breadth of folks who've been left out of the capital access process. And so I really am excited about it. And if there's any way I can be helpful in connecting you, please let me know. And then on the other side, just noting, I was a little bit late this evening. It's not out of the norm, but this evening I had a good excuse. I really wanted to share, rather than waiting for what's going on around the region, that the book harvest is gone national. And I just learned about it tonight. And they're actually, I'm trying to find them. They're an organization in Durham, and they share books with families and children from birth all the way through. Share some.
Yeah.
So you can see some of those if you're here. But I did want to say that that they have been working since 2011, and they've shared about 1.7 million books thus far. They're now in Durham, Winston-Salem, Columbus, and Bladen County. And if you don't know, I'm pretty competitive. And so I'm like, how do we flood it through the region? So that I can say that all of our cities and towns have a resource. And even if it's just a book box, which apparently is just a place for people to take books, I want to make sure that that's a service that's offered. So please let me know if there's any way to connect. And that is all I have. That's what I'm doing on the last 2 days. We won't go any further back. But outside of that, I will move us to around the region and check in with other folks and see what they have to share. If not, I will not keep us. It's 7 o'clock. I see Kathleen.
Wait.
You have
You
your
know-
hand up.
Yep. So a couple things. One, Orange County this summer is a public art festival throughout the month, July and August. It spans the July-August. It's called Uproar. And so there's going to be large public art installations all over Hillsborough, Carrboro, Chapel Hill, Orange County. It's exciting. It's juried. We're supporting artists, and the call for artists, it actually closes today. And so those artists are getting stipends, and there's not only the juried prize, but also the People's Choice Prize. And it's the first time something like this has ever been done in North Carolina. And so the goal is to have this every other year. So we're pretty excited.
Great.
And on your rural center, I do want to connect with you because there's some folks, clients of CSI, who want to bring some computer literacy into the rural areas, and particularly in the BIPOC communities. And I think that there's an opportunity for him to work with y'all.
Great. I see Bill Carver has his hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to tell you that I went to the NACO Legislative Conference a couple weeks ago. And when I was talking to an interesting polyglot of people, this whole idea of whether or not counties have it squared away with being able to access the funding of the great amount of money that's available right now. And of course, I've been talking to Elena recently about the service that you all are providing to assist counties. We go ahead and make a contribution, and you all give us the expertise that we need. I also shared that idea with our legislative delegation, the staff members for Tillis and Bud, and they were very interested in what we were doing. It may be that they understand that if we know what we're doing and got good help, then we won't be bothering them. I don't know. But at the same time, they were interested in us being able to access that money. I also we had a chance to talk to a number of the different agencies, and the Department of Transportation. I was asking information on whether or not counties can access some of that money to build roads in a situation where we were trying to facilitate low-income housing. And they were kind of, well, we're really not sure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, I was advancing this idea that we're trying to research it and use the COG to help us. And again, people were receptive to that idea. So I'm anxious to get involved, and I'm encouraging my manager to go ahead and contact you all. It hasn't happened yet, Elena, has it? Or, you know?
No, I've heard from Lisa.
Oh, awesome. That's great. Well, anyway, we appreciate that. I think it's a jam up idea. So if we get the money, I'll share that with you and maybe buy you a round of coffee or something.
That's great. We need to schedule a presentation to the board on what has been happening with our grant assistance program. There's money starting to come into the region, a lot of good work being done by staff. So thank you, Commissioner Carver, for mentioning that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing as well. If there are other, I know you have something.
Well, Don, in just a minute, I'll just mention, we had a fun evening at our Garner Performing Arts Center. We have an annual Garner Has Talent show, and various people, usually from our town, occasionally from other places, come and perform on stage. Some from little persons about 5 or 6 years old to older persons, maybe up to their 70s, 80s. Then we have this G Squad made up of ladies from ages 54 to 82 or something like that, I believe, and they perform. But at any rate, part of the reason I mentioned that, of course, one of our more well-known artists from there, Scotty McCreery, of course, that was the stage on which he got his start a number of years ago. So he sort of popularized the event itself, I guess. But it's something I always enjoy going out, and appreciate the courage of people who are willing to get up and perform amongst others and strut their stuff, so to speak. And nice evening of entertainment. A lot of fun.
Good. And Don?
Mine is more of a regional in Johnston County. All the municipalities in Johnston County, with the exception of Clayton, because Clayton is more of a tier 3 community. We've been identified by USDA Rural Development to put together a regional partnership. And most of our regional ideas are about sewer connectivity.
Yes.
And so we are looking at ways that we can become our own sewer coalition and work with tying our systems together. Recognizing Johnston County has their own sewer system, we feel like we need to have more control over that identity ourselves. So it would be working with the smaller communities together with the partnership with USDA Rural Development.
That's phenomenal. Any others online? If not, I'm gonna wrap us for the tour and we'll let you all go. You have a good night. Well, should I adjourn the meeting or just motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And
Second, and it's
Mayor
Kathleen.
Rashford. Thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Should be more formal. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Hi.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.